What is clutter? Anything that is unwanted is clutter. Now, when you are not able to forgive somebody, when you are not able to actually let go, that's a spiritual clutter. KonMari process, we say it's not just a process, it's a way of living life. Outside India, the US, the UK, Europe, this is actually a full fledged career that people are pursuing. In the US, it's $1 billion industry. It's never the same for two clients. The process of organizing the things, it's a very personalized process. Where the disconnect happens is when people start getting into perfection. You ask yourself the same question: is it sparking joy for me, or is it by obligation that I'm keeping this?
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Business Networking with Vipul Mondal. I have Rachna Kacker here with me today. To give you a quick introduction of Rachna, Rachna Kacker is a leading decluttering and organizing consultant in India, recognized as a KonMari Platinum consultant. With a passion for transforming spaces, Rachna has helped countless individuals and businesses achieve clarity and order using the KonMari method. Now, what KonMari is, we will learn very soon from Rachna herself. So, this globally celebrated method, developed by Mary Kondo, focuses on keeping only items that, she says, sparks joy and discarding the rest. Rachna has been instrumental in adapting and popularizing this approach across India, making it accessible and effective for her clients. Her work has been featured by various media houses for its personalized and sustainable approach, helping clients create spaces that bring true joy and lasting change. Welcome to the podcast, Rachna. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Vipul. Thank you so much for having me. It's an
You know,
absolute pleasure.
for making the time for being available today for this podcast. Actually, I was very fascinated about your business category, as we say in Vienna, the business category, when I first interacted with you. And, it set me thinking, some of the best, most effective people and the most productive people in the world, like Mark Zuckerberg or even the late Steve Jobs, were very, very simple in a lot of things that they did. uh, Mark Zuckerberg, for example, wears only black sweatshirts. Steve Jobs, by and large, in fact, most of the time we've seen him only in black. So, a lot of his time, and he would say it openly, is because he wanted to make sure that he doesn't spend a lot of time and mental energy in taking decisions, small decisions. He would only like to take and spare his energy for the large decisions. And one of the things that say is that they want to avoid cluttering their minds. And that's when you mentioned decluttering is what you do. It kind of got me interested in uh, inviting you here for this show. So we deal with a lot of clutter on a daily basis. Can you walk us through what this whole concept is? What is decluttering? Can you make it simple for cluttered minds like us to understand?
Yes, yes, yes. So, first of all, to put it in a very, very simple word, what is clutter? Anything that is unwanted is clutter. Now, for us as consultants, the biggest role is to help people identify what is that unwanted stuff or unwanted thing for them. Now, there are different types of clutter where I have actually divided them into two major categories. Number one is physical clutter, things you could actually see and feel. Then there is non physical clutter. So, physical clutter is basically things in your environment that you don't need, that are unwanted, comes into the category of physical clutter. But physical clutter is a smaller chunk,
Right.
though, you know, everything, if you want to, even if you want to, declutter non physical things and you want to declutter your mind, it first starts with the physical things. That is your environment, things
Right.
around you. So we're going to talk a little more into detail, but I
Sure.
want to just elaborate on the non-physical clutter, which is even more than the physical clutter. And non-physical clutter could be things where actually could be number one, the biggest one these days is the digital clutter. Then we have mental clutter. We also have spiritual clutter. We also have, uh, emotional clutter.
So do you deal with all of these aspects, or you deal only with the physical clutter bit here?
So I tell you, the entire KonMari process, this philosophy that we are going to talk about, is how you can actually bring in the change in your physical environment
Right.
to actually bring a change into all these other aspects also. But it starts with the physical or the materialistic things. And the moment you change your outside, the moment you change your environment, your inside automatically starts changing. So I want to give small examples. First, physical is very clear, and
Okay.
digital also. Most of like the people listening to are very aware of.
Familiar,
So
yes, absolutely.
digital could be those unopened emails in your mailbox.
Correct.
You've been getting it time and again. You don't even open them. You don't even read them, but you're
Right.
still getting them in your inbox. Similarly, a lot of files on your laptops or desktops which are unnamed, or you
Named
don't even know
unopened.
where they are. They
Correct.
exist, but you don't need them, right?
Right.
So that with digital clutter. But there is also mental clutter. For example, a fear for something is actually a mental clutter. Similarly, I talked about spiritual clutter. Now, when you are not able to forgive somebody, when you are not able to actually let go, that's a spiritual clutter. And then you also have emotional clutter. All those negative thoughts and negative beliefs. For example, if your boss told you you're good for nothing, or a lot of my audiences are women, when your mother-in-law tells you you're good for nothing, or somebody else tells you and you still hold on to those negative thoughts and beliefs, start thinking, that's actually mental clutter. So there are different types of clutter apart from the physical clutter that we are all surrounded with.
So you say you begin from outside in. So you begin with the physical clutter, and then you say that once you sort out your clutter on, let's say, in front of you, let's say in the office, on your desk, or in your workspace, or at home, in your uh, physical space. Once you start clearing the clutter, you automatically start impacting the other aspects of clutter in your life. Is that the way? Is that the right way to put it?
Absolutely. So when we say the KonMari process, we say it's not just a process, it's a way of living life.
Uh, well, I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions in people's minds as they listen to you. Okay, but let's just go back just a little bit, because this concept is relatively new. Might not be so new, but it's still relatively new. And I'm sure when you began your career, you didn't start off wanting to become a decluttering expert. And decluttering is a more recent career as far as you're concerned. So just can you give us a little background of what you did before you got into this? How is it that you got into this field, and why did you choose this field to be your chosen field of specialization?
By education, I am an MBA in HR. I specialize in HR and labor laws. And almost 15 years I spent in the education industry. My last assignment was with one of the top B schools of the country, where I was heading the corporate relations and placements for them. And there, frankly, I had no such plans or business ideas as such. So I belong to a city called Lucknow,
Yes.
and my parents still did stay there, and I have a younger brother who stays in the Brussels. So we were out for a small vacation at my mom's place, and my mom has a big, so up there in the north you don't have a culture of flats, though it's come up a bit,
Oh,
but you have those row houses. You have big row houses. So she has a nice big 2000 square feet row house, a double storied one. And we were there spending the vacation with her and telling her, giving her suggestions and advices. And mom, Why are you still keeping our childhood stuff, things that you had bought for my marriage? And then you come and complain to us that space is a problem. And while we were all giving her this gyan, she got really irritated and upset with us, saying that you guys only come for a week, 10 days, and then you have to meet the relatives and your friends and everybody, and you're giving me nice gyan and lecture out here, right? Why don't you stay here for a month and help me declutter and reorganize my space? And that's where actually this idea came into my mind, that there will be so many people like my mom who actually want to let go of things, who want to remove the unwanted things, but they have no idea where and how to start from. So that's how this little idea came into my mind. And then when I started doing my research, what found was something really interesting. I found that outside India, the US, the UK, Europe, this is actually a full-fledged career that people are pursuing. So they call themselves professional organizers. And in the US, it's $1 billion industry.
$1 billion.
Yes. So I said that if this is such an interesting thing, let's not jump into it right away. Let me just do a little more research and gain a little more expertise and see if I can hone up my skills first before I start helping out others. And then I found out this lady called Mary Kondo, who
Right.
is an international celebrity, who is a Times Award winner, who has written a book called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, which is a New York Times bestseller, and all 9 million copies of this book has been sold so far. And I was in a awe. I said, my God, this is the person I want to learn from. So I Googled, I approached them, and I went to a website. And there was also a Netflix series, which I was not aware of. So there was a full Netflix series about Mary Kondo and teaching people this entire process. So I did my certification from her, and that's where my journey in this particular industry started. For about 2 years, I was doing this on a part-time basis along with my job. And then I said, no, this is something I really felt that I found my passion, and this is something I can do for my entire life. So, with that vision in mind, to make this a big industry, a great career opportunity in India also, especially for women, I said, why not? Let's get started.
And then you started your own firm, right? Is that right?
Yes, yes.
So what is your firm name, and where do
My
you operate out of? Which
Yeah.
city?
So my company's name is Mesmerize, MESS, Mesmerize India. So
Mesmerizing. Wonderful.
let's leave
Mesmerizing
India
me.
mess. Thank you so much. And
Mesmerizing. Yeah.
we're
And you're
based in Mumbai, catering to Pan India.
So, and which year did you start?
I had started my consultant journey during the COVID time itself.
Oh,
So I did my certification. There is
around
a process.
2020.
Yeah, yes. Was doing like freelancing for about 1.5 year, and last 2 years, that's where Mesmerize came into existence, and I've been doing this full time.
And I'm sure it's been a mesmerizing 2 years.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I recently got the status of a platinum consultant. So I have completed 1,000 hours of tidying with my
1,000.
clients.
Wow. So, I'm sure, the Swachh Bharat people, when they meet you, they'll be extremely happy to take some tips from you, how to go about it. Okay, that was on a different note. But, let's take a question here, which I think is very relevant. This question comes from Mariam. So her question is, in your experience, what impact does clutter have on a business environment? The people working there and their motivation. Since you're a HR person, you understand this better than most others. So how does clutter play a role on how people, especially in work situations, how does it affect them and their motivation?
So I'll take a small example of myself only. So, and a couple of people whom I helped while I was practicing this process. along with my job. So these were all working professionals. It has a lot of effect on your productivity. I'll give you a small example. From a person's viewpoint, it does help you save a lot of time when everything is in place. When you have a clear, desk, overwhelm reduces a lot.
Right.
So small things like a lot of us do this, and it's a very common thing. No, no, let's not even going to all the all that piles of papers and all. Small little example of password. Now we all
Right.
make multiple email IDs,
Right.
4, 5 email IDs. You have on Gmail, you have on Yahoo, or Gmail with different user IDs, and a lot of times we forget the password,
Correct.
and then the simplest thing is to do is go and reset the password, right?
Correct.
We are not realizing it's just taking 2, 3 minutes of our time, but every time we are doing this, we are actually wasting of some of our precious time. And there is a research
Right.
done in the US where they took a sample size and found out that it was a big chunk of hours in totality annually that people were actually uh,
Correct.
wasting changing the passwords. And
Right.
if that, so because in US you are paid on hourly basis, so from the company's perspective it was a big loss, but even from the employee's perspective. So if every morning you are standing in front of your wardrobe thinking about what to wear, those 10 minutes that you're wasting in totality, if it comes to uh, even if it comes
For
to,
an
let's
hour
say,
in a week.
in an hour in a week, and it
Right.
comes to on an average 50 hours in a year annually, just giving an average, those 50 hours you can spend time with your family. You can wind up work at your in your office and go back early. So this is the kind of effect it has on our productivity. You are looking for items, you're not realizing just 10 minutes that you are actually wasting, which in
Right.
totality makes a lot of difference.
So it's small chunks of time which you lose over a period of time, which can add up to quite significant amount of time actually. You're so right. Okay, so now let's come to
People,
the.
just one more point
Yeah,
adding
please go
here,
ahead.
and it also reduces overwhelm and stress. Now, in the corporates, you have a lot of stress these days, and there is a research done by UCLA, University of California, which says that if you are surrounded by too many items around you, it can be piles of paper, it can be files, books, anything. I mean, specifically, I'm taking here talking in context to the question that came. So it increases the stress levels in your body. It increases. So there is a stress hormone in the body. I am just missing out on the name of that hormone. Cortisol. Yeah.
Right.
So it increases the cortisol level in the body. It's proper research that has been done. So already you have so much stress.
Interesting,
You
interesting, very, very interesting. In fact, I remember, when I was working for a company called Siemens India, I had a colleague who used to work for two tables away, and at any point in time on his table, he would only have one piece of paper. And he would, if he's reading something, only that would be in front of him. If he's writing something, of course, those days, were just before the laptop days. So he could actually write something, and then so he would actually put it down, on a piece of paper, think it through, make the email and send it off. There would hardly be any clutter on his table, and and even as a person, I remember he used to be very crystal clear about what he wants to say, what he wants to do. It was easy for him to find a piece of paper on his desk, everything filed away very nicely, and we used to all envy that guy, saying, this guy always, I mean, he never spends time looking for things. We never hear him say कि मैंने ये यहाँ रख दिया था अभी पता नहीं कहाँ है. Those kind of things. And it's lost somewhere in the mess. You would never hear him say these things. So it was kind of an idol for a lot of us. I know exactly what you're talking about. It reduces your stress because you save up so much time which you would have otherwise spent looking for things and finding things. Okay, so now let's uh, turn to the KonMari method. If you can tell us what is the KonMari method and how does that work? I think that's the crux of what we want to
Yes.
discuss today.
So like I said, KonMari method more than a service. It's a philosophy. It's a way of
Right.
living life. It's a concept. So first, first you understand the concept, and when you start implementing, you are not just organized. It also gives you breakthroughs in various areas of your life. So just for those who do not know Mary Kondo, she's a Japanese based in the US, and we all know Japanese are very very systematic and organized people.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Sure.
this process is very popular in the US and other countries, and it's actually got its name from her name only. So Mary Kondo's names, they've taken the initials and made it the KonMari method. Now, what this method is all about? Now, if you look at our Indian homes or offices, the traditional way of decluttering, organizing, and tidying up your space has always been let's do it location wise. So today let's do this room. Tomorrow let's do the other room, right? This is the typical approach that we've been following, and that's not our fault as well because probably we are not aware of the process and that
Right.
we've been taught this since childhood, right? But the KonMari method is completely contrary to it. So the KonMari method says don't go by location, go by category.
Can you elaborate?
And why do we do that? I'll tell you. First, I'll give an example, and then I will tell you what are the various categories which you can start implementing the KonMari process for yourself. So,
Okay.
what happens is lot of times, if you look at specifically, let's talk about the homes here in context to the homes. Simplest example is of clothing. So, we in Indian homes keep multiple items at multiple places. So let's say if
Right.
it's your clothing category, you keep your regular clothes in your wardrobe. You keep maybe the woolen clothes which you're not using that regularly, or the seasonal ones, maybe under bed or
Right.
some other place. Now, what happens is today you said, okay, I'm going to organize my wardrobe. You organized your wardrobe, and then you later realize, oh, there is another set of clothes kept out somewhere, maybe under bed or somewhere else. And then you think, okay, let it be like that. So you actually end up not completing the entire category. And after some times, we get back to clutter again. We start, we take out our weekends thinking that, okay, it's a long weekend, we're going to organize. And after 1 month, after 15 days, things are back to where they were, right? That's where this process helps. So it recommends tidying your spaces category wise and not location wise. And they say that the KonMari process is a journey. Do the entire process in one go. It can be 1 month, it can be 6 months, but complete the entire category wise structure. And you will see that you will never be cluttered again.
Wow. Is it? Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting.
So what is the structure you need to follow? It's applicable for homes as well as offices both. So the first and the foremost thing you start with is clothing, the
Okay.
clothing category. Now the clothing category can include your clothes, it can include your footwears, it can include your purses, bags, accessories. All these comes under the clothing category. Then you move on to the next category, which is books. Now we have a big chunk of this. There are so many books that we buy but we don't read them. We read half of it. Maybe we don't like it, we still keep it. Books we've already read. We know we are not going to read them again, but we're still keeping them. So there are lots of things in the books category. Then we move on to the third category, which is papers or documents. We have lots of papers also. Example, used checkbooks. We keep used checkbooks thinking that we might use it in the future for reference. Similarly, you get any new appliance like a refrigerator or a microwave, and you keep those manuals for
Right.
troubleshooting. But actually, when your microwave broke down, do you ever go and refer back those documents or those manuals? You just go on YouTube and do a troubleshooting. So again, the documents and the papers is another big category. After document, we move on to kumono. Now, kumono is a Japanese word. which means miscellaneous items. So anything which is not covered in the first three categories, that is clothing, books, papers, and then there is one more last category comes under the kumono category. So all your stationaries, in homes, you have your kitchen. Kitchen also comes in the kumono. Your medicines, all miscellaneous items comes under the kumono category. And the last one is the sentimental or the emotional items. Now, this category wise structure, Vipul, is very, very well researched and there is a deep psychology behind it. So, what is the psychology behind it? The psychology behind it is biggest challenge for us to let go is because probably we are not able to take a decision. When you start with the clothing category, clothes are majorly the most easiest thing to take a decision on. And you go in the same order. So all the five categories, the way I've mentioned, starting with clothing, then the books, then the papers or documents, then your miscellaneous items, kumono, and last is emotional items.
Right.
When you go exactly in this order with every category, your difficulty level of taking the decision is increasing.
Absolutely.
So you are actually honing up your decision making skills. And the most difficult item to let go is the emotional items. So by the time you come to the emotional items, you've actually mentally honed up your decision making skills to let go of those emotional items that are actually not contributing in your life.
So you actually have this as part of the process. I mean, you actually help in clearing sentimental clutter.
Yes, it does. So I'll tell you, I'll share two or three case studies of my clients
Sure, that would be nice.
and what kind of clutter they were, emotional items they were able to let go. And then there is one more case, small case example that I will share. So yes. So frankly speaking, we when we onboard a client or when we are doing the KonMari process with the clients, we tell them that see, this is the ideal sequence you should go in for,
Right.
right? But whether they want to go with, some people think that they need more help in the book category and they don't want to do the clothing category, so it's their choice. But as consultants, we do of course guide them that this is the process. Now, how does it help in cases of emotional items? So
Right.
I had a client who had almost like one big hall in one big wall in her living room was full of books. So she had kind of made a huge library, and she had also got books from her father, who was a writer, used to write for and for those dramas and movies and all. Was a writer, and father had passed away, so she had got all the books from the father. Now,
Sentimental value.
during the COVID time, she was she's an actress, so movies and all had stopped, shooting and all had stopped that time. And
Right.
she went into depression and she started eating, all. So eating
Um,
habits and also got gone for a toss and she had put on a lot of weight. I'll tell you scientifically everything, how and where it actually
right.
declutters your mind also. So she went through the entire KonMari process.
Right.
And by the time she came on to the emotional items, she realized that there were so many books she had just bought was not using them at all. So the ones that she wanted, and she was the one who took the decision, right? So she removed and she decided to let go of so many books. Only one fourth of them she had kept. Rest all she had donated and discarded. And you know what happened? Six
Um,
to 8 months after this, she came out of depression and she lost a lot of weight. Now let's go to the science behind it. The science was probably the books that she had got, her father's books that she got with and was keeping, had some kind of a emotion attached to it,
right.
probably which was not contributing in a positive way. The moment she let go of those books, that emotion was released and you release a negative emotion, you see the change happening in your body.
Yeah, I mean, as you rightly said, your external world has an impact on your internal world. So I'm sure somewhere, tidying up other areas of her life kind of helped her deal with her uh, depression much better. Okay, so, we've heard of this 5S technique. Uh, I mean, how different is your decluttering uh, technique different from 5S, or is it the same thing?
I will say fundamentally it's almost the same thing.
Okay.
So Mary Kondo is one of the most successful 5S implementers in the world. Only thing is, with her concept, she decided to create a niche for her. That's where she said, okay, I'm going to put in my tadka of the KonMari, and I'm going to make it more resident, more specific to home space. So the 5S concepts talk about the 5 S's, which are number one, sort, that is remove the things that we know don't need. Then number two is set in order. Let's start keeping everything in order. Start giving every item a place. That's also there in the KonMari process. Number three, it says shine. So just clean everything periodically. Then it says standardize. Make a standard process for everything. So what needs to go where? Make a list. Make standardize it. Write down the process. That's what the 5S process talks about. And
Right.
last is sustain. And exactly the same fundamentals we follow in the KonMari process also, where number one process is decluttering, removing the stuff, then sorting things category wise. So making small category of items, and then you organized, which is very personalized process. So a client may prefer, it's never the same for two clients. The process of organizing the things, it's a very personalized
Correct.
process. And to make it very sustainable, there are things like labeling, you know, telling the client what tips they need to follow, keeping things back to its place once they have used it. So that makes the system very sustainable. And with my clients who actually followed the entire KonMari journey, that is all the 5 categories, there is a 90% plus sustainability rate. So they've not come back to clutter again.
That's amazing. And considering that 5S is the first part of the lean system, which Japanese manufacturing companies have been following, and we all know how successful Japanese manufacturing has been globally. So and if we can apply some of those principles in our homes and in our work lives, I'm sure it will make a big difference. Okay, so in India, typically at this time of the year, leading up to Diwali is when we start cleaning our home. We'll pick up one weekend and get rid of things. Another weekend we'll get rid of books. Third weekend we'll get rid of some furniture and so on. So we typically this annual cleaning. How is it different, or is it the same process but more scientific? I mean, or can we mix it both together? I mean, what is the recommendation you would have?
So, what I would recommend is, see, this is a system which is worked for people. First of all, it's not about perfection. So, what happens is where the disconnect happens is when people start getting into perfection. So, my suggestion would be people have followed this entire category wise thing, which they call the KonMari journey. If you follow the KonMari journey, that little shift in the lifestyle, the way you are doing things change. And the moment it changes, uh, you will not be cluttered again. You don't need to follow this pattern of, doing the cleaning and organizing of your stuff on Diwalis or the spring. It automatically comes into your behavior. It automatically comes into your lifestyle, so you start practicing it on a regular basis. And that's probably that little change, that little prioritization of things gives you the breakthroughs.
So I think two questions in this stage, both I think are pretty connected and in line with what we just spoke. So first question is from Meera Chaman. Her question is, can you share any tips for decluttering digital spaces like email and file systems? So that is question one. And Siddharth Gupta has a question, which is his question is, how does decluttering contribute to better time management?
Right.
And answer
So
these and then we'll
I,
get.
yes, yes. So I'll take the same question. Now, you at the start mentioned that the KonMari process is, actually based on this philosophy of spark joy. So while
Right.
decluttering, the major basis or the fundamental is ask yourself what sparks joy for you, what makes you happy, and keep those items. नाउ आई एम श्योर सम ऑफ आवर व्यूअर्स मस्ट बी थिंकिंग कि अरे भाई किचन में क्या स्पार्क जॉय होगा। अरे किचन में तो
Agree.
काम ही करना है, या ऑफिस में
करना
तो
है,
क्या ही,
correct.
ऑफिस तो हम जबरदस्ती जाते हैं, अब मतलब ऑफिस में तो ऑब्लिगेशन के लिए जाते हैं, तो वहां पे क्या
Absolutely.
हम स्पार्क जॉय करेंगे? So, no. So you have to relate it and ask yourself. For example, if you have a mixer in your kitchen, and that mixer is somewhere helping you to ease your work,
Correct.
right? Otherwise, you will sit and do the chopping. It's going to take more time. It will be stressing for you, right? So it's
Yeah.
making your job easy. If it's making your job easy, I'm sure you would want it, right? So that's how you ask yourself, does it spark joy for me? Now, this entire concept applies everywhere. If whether it's a workspace, whether it's your digital space, you ask yourself the same question. Is it sparking joy for me? Or is it by obligation that I'm keeping this?
And if it's not sparking joy, obviously that is clutter, and that needs to go away at some stage.
So in the workplace, you go in the same order. Only your clothing category is not there in the workplace. You have books, you
Correct.
have papers and documents, and then you have miscellaneous item, and you also have certain emotional items in your works. So a very beautiful tip is for emotional items is, I always say there is no use keeping your emotional items in the box and packed in the wardrobe or a cupboard. If it sparks joy for you, if it's a beautiful memory, keep it at a place where you see it every day and your energy gets elevated. So if in your workspace you have a photograph of you getting an award or you have a trophy, keep it at a place where you see it every day and feel proud of yourself. Similarly, for digital spaces, also you need to do same things. One or tips I can share here. Digital life comprises of actually three aspects. Number one is majorly emails. Number two is documents, and number three is photos or your phone items that you have in your phone, which is a very big chunk. So take out a specific time, let's say 5 minutes every day, and start to declutter your emails. So the emails that you don't even open and read them, which are coming to you, just scroll back, see in the history, old emails. कि अरे यहाँ से emails आ रहा है, I'm not even bothered to open them.
Right.
Not even bothered to open that. 6 months have passed, that means you're not going to open them again in the near future, right? So delete or unsubscribe to those emails.
Correct.
Then you create a folder wise system in your inbox. That's a very good way where you can have the folders based on your convenience. So what I do is I ideally have 4 to 5 major folders in my inbox. Number one is uh, things that I might need in the future, like passwords, certain newsletters, etc. That. Then there is a to-do folder, like things I need immediately, I might have to do in the next uh, 1 week or 10 days or so. And
Right.
then there is certain things which I'm just keeping for reference. So likewise, based on your choice preference, make
Yeah.
folders, but don't have more than 5 to 6 folders. So that's the tip for the digital decluttering. Similarly, for your photographs and all, keep a time, because digital clutter, Vipul, you wouldn't even realize. You think you're very systematic, very organized. You start scanning all the documents and keeping them, And slowly, gradually, when it turns into a clutter and a huge pile, you wouldn't even come to know.
Absolutely. I mean, earlier we used to be happy with what 128 GB on our mobile phone. These days, even 1 TB is less here. I mean, iPhone 16, they've launched 1 TB handset. I mean, that's the kind of memory we need because that's the huge amount of space we need to take care of our digital needs. Fantastic. So, what are the benefits of decluttering? I mean, we spoke of some of them, but what are the ones you've experienced with your clients? I mean, what are the
Yeah.
benefits that you've seen?
Number one is time management. So I think one of the questions
One of the
was
questions
about
was
time
time management.
management. So I think I'll take it along with this.
Sure, sure.
One of the some if you value your time, if you value your time, you need to go through this process. So if it helps you save your precious time, I always say if you want to create, 26 hours in a day, that's what you need to do. That's where this process helps. So number one, it enhances your productivity, efficiency, and you learn to manage your time. You learn to prioritize things that spark joy for you, that are important for
Correct.
you. Number two, it gives you a lot of clarity of thoughts also. Because this entire process, you're doing a lot of prioritization. What do I need to? And you're doing a lot of questioning yourself. It's a very empowering process because you are. So why clutter piles up? Because we are the ones who are creating clutter, right? So this entire process, you become very mindful because you are every point in time questioning yourself, and that's where you start prioritizing things. It gives you a lot of clarity of thought. I have had people who completed their KonMari journey and were stuck in a job in their comfort zone, thinking that, I will change my job, I'm looking for a high, were not able to take the decision. The moment they completed the entire KonMari journey, they got that clarity of thoughts in their mind and
Correct.
they immediately made a switch. In fact, I also had one more client, was a lady who was thinking to start something of her own. And my own example, this clarity of thought helped me take that plunge, that decision, which can be a game changer for you.
We'll take one more question from the audience. I mean, you actually prompted a lot of questions which are very interesting. So I'll just take this. This comes from Lavanya Singh. Her question is, what role does technology play in modern decluttering practices?
So yes, technology, I would say, has a role to play, but sometimes actually technology also overwhelms us. But yes, if you are looking from a working professional's perspective, there are so many tools and apps and things which you can help you declutter and organize your spaces. For example, a lot of times we take multiple pictures.
Yeah,
So there are apps available on the Play Store which can actually help you declutter the duplicate photographs from your
correct,
space.
correct.
You can use that. So technology can make your life easy only to the point that you don't let the technology rule you. You are you are in charge. You decide what I want to keep, what I want to let go, which app I want to download.
Uh, Now let's get to a little bit of the company side of things. How companies can improve their productivity and productivity of their employees, right? And also increase profits because that is something we said we will discuss in today's topic. So I mean, how can we make that claim that by decluttering you will actually uh, enhance profits? So can you explain that with an example so that it becomes
Yes,
a little more
yes.
easy to understand?
I'll take two case studies. One case study was of a company who actually was going to order some raw material worth crores. It was about 2.5 crore material. And when they actually decluttered and organized their warehouse, they found that they have raw material which was actually worth almost 10 crores. And they were going to order for duplicate items just because they were not able to find out things. And similarly, what happens with us. So I say clutter steals your time, energy, and money. At home also, just because you're not able to find things, it's very easy to go and shop for it and get it
And get
back.
one more. Yes,
And
that happens
similarly, in
all the
your
time.
yeah, similarly in your company, I mean, you're not finding your stationery. Stationery might seem to be a small thing to you, but I have had clients who were holding on, almost 50 pens. They were not using it. They were not able to find it. When the company actually did the decluttering process, they recovered so much of stationery, which was again a big, big amount. So that's where it affects, it avoids wastage. And if your wastage is eliminated, automatically your
Okay.
profitability will enhance.
So one is that, of course, the additional part is the ability and the time saved can be put to better use and therefore better
So
profits
one
also.
is one is from the profitability point of view, and where you are avoiding wastages. And second is the most precious thing, the man hours. So if somebody takes, so I'll give you another example of a company when they had an inspection.
Right.
There was a very important file they were not able to find,
Correct.
and the entire panel was sitting waiting for that file. What they did was they found it really easy to go and take out prints and make the file again. So they took out prints while the panel was waiting in the conference room. They took out prints and made the file again. So wastage of paper, wastage of time. You're not able to find things. And where was that file found? It was in that employee's bag only, that laptop bag that he carries every day. Small little example, but makes a huge, huge difference.
Okay, so let's we are here because the topic of the podcast is business networking. So, and I've invited you because you are not only a decluttering specialist, but you are an active networker. So, can you walk us through your networking journey till now?
Yes. So I would say I implement the same concept in my network as well.
Okay,
I would love to make 5 meaningful connections that spark joy for me rather than making 50 connections which don't contribute into my life. And I apply the same fundamental into networking as well.
that's interesting. Maybe active networkers should connect with you once to find out how to do this. I mean, clutter in networking. Okay, so and how has that helped you in your business?
It has helped me to establish a credibility. Pe- I always go with the giver's gain philosophy, giving people first, it will automatically come to you 10 times. I believe that. And
That's very well.
when I start giving to people, people take me as a thought leader, as a real leader. And when it's a human psychology, 4 times you will help a person, the fifth time he will genuinely want to help you and do something for you. So that's the philosophy I follow.
Okay, and you also, I mean, one of the things that you've done as part of your, contributing, giving bit is that you took on leadership roles in your chapter, and now you're also part of the regional management team, part of the director consultants team for BNI. So, it's a leadership role, and how do you think that has helped you in your business? You can tell us a little bit about that because leadership roles in networking organizations has tremendous impact on business. So can you tell us how it has impacted your
Yes.
business?
So initially, while I was on the leadership role, it took a little more time. It did take a lot of my time.
Yeah.
But then that was the time as a leader, I was selflessly looking for business for people of my chapter, trying to help them out. And the moment I came out of the leadership role, I have a constant group of people who are looking for business for me.
Right.
So what happens is when you get into a leadership role or anything and you give your best in that role, you don't come with a motive in your mind that I want to get out of it, but you come selflessly there. People are able to gauge that. People are very smart people. they
Correct.
they immediately gauge the
Agree.
authentic energy, how authentic you are.
Correct.
And if you are authentic, people will come forward and help you. So that helped me a lot. That helped me, the elevate my image as more than a normal member. And I have a huge respect. Business and money, I feel, is a byproduct. The moment you gain that respect from people, they will become your real sales force, trying to get business and clients for you.
Very well said. Very well said. So, Rachna, we are coming to the final last few minutes of our conversation. So, you spoke so well and in great detail about decluttering. You told us how, why, you know, putting things in terms of priority, physical uh, aspects first, and then moving into emotional or sentimental aspects later, how you can free up time, improve your productivity, and become more profitable. Also spoke so beautifully about how business networking is contributing to your success and how by being on leadership roles you are able to contribute to other people. So is there some advice that you would like to give to young entrepreneurs who would like to consider doing business networking? How would you want to declutter their mind so that they can take the right decision?
Yeah, I will make it very simple for them. I will say, use the spark joy concept everywhere, even in your network, and be authentic. Remain authentic. If you follow these two things, everything else will fall in place. So don't try to connect with hundred people giving and distributing your cards, because ultimately you give them the card. If it is not of use to them, again that becomes a clutter for them.
Got it. So
So
that was very, very well said. Thank you very much, Rachna, for actually coming on the podcast, giving your time and sharing your valuable insights on the things. I think what you said today will ring a bell with a lot of people because I'm sure a lot of us, including me, we have so much of clutter which is completely bogging us down. May not be all the time, but at least many of the times. And then when you actually evaluate, you realize it's clutter that stop you from being able to do what you could have done totally. So thanks for opening our eyes to that. And if you can just let us know your email ID because I'm sure a lot of people would like to connect with you after this. So if you can state your email ID, what I will do is I'll put it on the group so that they can get in touch with you. Maybe some of them might want to take your help and your consultation to be able to improve their business profitability. If you can tell us your email ID, please.
my email ID is ask Rachna now.
Ask Rachna now.
Now. Ask
Rachna
Rachna
now
now
at
at gmail.com.
gmail.com
Yes, yes, yes.
with your queries and questions. And also, if you have any uh, consultation requirement, you can reach out to ask Rachna now at gmail.com. And Rachna will take her time out, declutter her time calendar, and get in touch with you and help you. Thank you very much for being here today. And obviously, we'll interact more outside of this.
Thank you so much. Thank
Eternally
you so much
grateful.
for having me, Vipul. Thank you. Absolute pleasure.